The streets of Seoul were strangely quiet, and on this nearly deserted road, there was only the sound of shallow, ragged breathing. Lee Min-jae, the second son of Korea's most feared mafia family, lay sprawled against the curb. His tailored black suit was soaked with blood, the fabric torn where a bullet had ripped through his side. His hand pressed against the wound, warm liquid seeping through his fingers, staining his skin. He knew he should move. He knew if he stayed here, exposed, his enemies, or worse, the police, would find him. But every attempt to shift sent lightning bolts of agony shooting up his spine. His vision blurred, the world swaying in and out of focus. For the first time in years, the mafia prince who never feared death felt its icy grip closing in. And then he saw her. Headlights cut through the gloom, followed by the low purr of an engine. A car slowed, brakes squeaking softly, before pulling to the side of the road. The door opened, and a woman stepped out. She was not from his world. She was tall, with smooth dark skin that seemed to glow beneath the streetlights. Her natural curls were pulled back neatly after a long day. She carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who saved lives for a living. Her heels clicked against the pavement as she rushed toward him, her eyes widening the moment they landed on his bleeding form. "Oh my God!" she gasped, kneeling beside him without hesitation. "Sir, can you hear me? You've been shot." Her voice was warm, urgent, but calm, the kind of calm that came from years of medical training. He blinked up at her, dazed, surprised by the sudden angel crouching beside him. "Don't call the hospital," he croaked, gripping her wrist with surprising strength despite his condition. She frowned, already reaching for her phone. "You need a trauma team. You're losing too much blood." "No hospital," he growled, his dark eyes locking onto hers with desperate intensity. "Please promise me." Her lips parted in shock. Who refuses a hospital when they're bleeding out? Unless, she glanced at his expensive clothes, the gun tucked beneath his jacket, the cold glint of power in his gaze. Something about him screamed danger. But he was dying, and she was a doctor. Dr. Ayanna Roberts, 30 years old, African-American, born and raised in Windsor, USA, had sworn an oath to save lives, no matter who they belonged to. She hesitated for only a moment before sighing, sliding her phone back into her pocket. "Fine, but you're going to bleed out here if I don't do something fast. Can you stand? Help me up?" he muttered, teeth clenched. She ducked under his arm, shocked at how heavy and muscular he was, and half dragged, half guided him toward her car. The effort nearly toppled them both, but somehow she managed to get him into the back seat. Her heart was racing, but her hands were steady. As she drove, she kept glancing at him through the rearview mirror. His head lolled to the side, but his eyes never left her. Even bleeding out, even pale from blood loss, there was something in his gaze, sharp, possessive, as if he was already memorizing her face. "You're insane," she muttered under her breath. "I should be calling the police. Instead, I'm bringing a wounded criminal into my home. What am I doing?" He gave a faint, bloody smirk. "You are saving me." By the time she pulled into the underground parking of her apartment, his breathing was shallow. She rushed to his side, pulling his arm over her shoulders again. Inside her small but cozy apartment, she laid him on her couch, grabbing her emergency medical kit. Her hands moved quickly. Gloves, antiseptic, surgical tools. She ripped his shirt open, exposing a chest littered with scars from old battles. "God," she whispered, staring at the wound. The bullet was still lodged deep, dangerously close to a vital artery. "This is going to hurt," she warned. He gave a faint chuckle, though it came out more like a groan. "Pain and I are old friends. Continue." She worked quickly, sterilizing her tools, numbing the area as best she could, and digging the bullet out. He gritted his teeth, refusing to cry out, his eyes never leaving her face. She stitched the wound with careful precision, her hands sure, her breathing steady. When it was over, she sat back, sweat on her brow, and exhaled. "You're lucky I found you. Another hour and you'd be dead." His gaze softened, just slightly. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Ayanna." "Ayanna," he repeated, as if tasting it on his tongue. You saved me tonight. That means you're mine now. Her head snapped up, eyes narrowing. Excuse me? But he was already slipping into unconsciousness, a faint smirk still on his lips. Anna sat back, heart pounding. She told herself she didn't care who he was. Tomorrow he'd be gone, and her life would return to normal. But deep down, she knew nothing about tonight was normal. And this man, this dangerous, wounded devil, was going to change everything. The dim hum of her apartment refrigerator was the only sound in the silence. Ayana had fallen asleep in the armchair near her couch, still in her scrubs, her head tilted to one side. The faint glow from a single lamp highlighted the exhaustion in her features. On the couch, the man stirred. His eyes flickered open, dark, sharp, full of steel, though slightly dulled by the pain. For a moment he was disoriented, unsure where he was. The scent of antiseptic reached his nose, mingling with the faint aroma of lavender from the room. He shifted, feeling the tight pull of stitches in his side, then looked down. The bullet was gone. His wound was closed, clean, neatly dressed. Someone had patched him up with skilled precision. And then he saw her, the woman, the one who had dragged him from the brink of death. She was slumped in the chair, lips parted softly in sleep, her hands still resting on the edge of the couch as though she had been keeping watch over him. Lee Min-jae studied her in silence. He had spent years surrounded by blood, power, and betrayal. Women in his world were often pawns or prizes, drawn to his wealth, his name, his danger. But this one, she had risked everything without even knowing who he was. Her kindness unsettled him more than the bullet wound. His lips curled into a faint, predatory smile. She saved me. That makes her mine. Ayana woke with a start when she felt a hand on her wrist. Her eyes snapped open, heart hammering, only to find him sitting upright, his face inches from hers. You're awake, she gasped, pulling her wrist free. You shouldn't be moving. You could reopen your stitches. But he ignored her concern, his eyes sweeping over her face, memorizing every detail. You did this, he said, touching the bandage at his side. You pulled a bullet out of me. Without you, I'd be dead. She swallowed, forcing herself to stay composed under that piercing gaze. I'm a doctor. I did what anyone with my training would do. No, he murmured, his voice low and smooth, almost dangerous. Most people would have left me to die, or called the police. You didn't. You brought me here. Her pulse quickened. Because you refused the hospital, and I wasn't about to let someone die on the street. That doesn't mean I'm comfortable with this. His lips curved into that unsettling half-smirk. And yet here we are. Ayana stood, needing distance, and crossed to her kitchen to pour herself some water. Listen, she said firmly, turning back to him. You can't stay here. Whoever shot you, whoever you're mixed up with, they might come looking. And I can't risk. You're worried about your safety. He finished her sentence smoothly, leaning back against the couch cushions like a king on a throne, despite his injury. Smart. But you should understand something, Ayana. If they come, I'm the danger they'll find. Not you. His certainty unsettled her. He spoke not with arrogance, but with the weight of someone who had lived and survived in blood-soaked streets. Who are you? She whispered, her voice trembling despite herself. He tilted his head, watching her like a predator who enjoyed watching his prey squirm. Lee Min-jae. He let the name hang in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Second son of the Lee Syndicate.